Greetings all, the name is Angel Shade and welcome to another episode of The Arsenal. In this and following episodes we will go through the guns of the Call of Duty 4. But before we focus on the guns, we will run through the player progression system introduced in COD 4 and today taken for granted since it's present in virtually every game. So when you enter multiplayer you can create an account. Since COD 4 had no prestige, when you want to start over you simply make a new account. The game tracks the progress of every account individually and there's no permanence to it since the stats are not tied to any online service. So basically, as you play you earn points. You get points not only for kills but also for supporting actions such as assists, summoning the UAV, planting or defusing the bomb, capturing the flag or returning it, and so on. You also get a bonus at the end of the match depending on your position in the team and whether the match ended in victory or defeat. Leveling up unlocks weapons, equipment and challenges, of which only weapon unlocks really interest you since challenges only reward you with extra experience. But if you are completionist, the challenges give you something to aim for when you're done with the guns. The maximum level you can reach in COD 4 is 55. COD 4 also for the first time introduced kill streaks. In COD 4 you have 3 of them: the UAV, airstrike and an attack helicopter. Let's cover them first, since unlike newer CODs, you only get those 3 and you can't affect them in any way. There's a few other things to keep in mind about them, especially if you're coming back to this game after playing the new CODs. Mainly that you better use every streak as you get it, because new streak overwrites the old one. You can only have one at the ready at any given time, so for example, if you got an airstrike and didn't use it, and got the chopper, the airstrike is wasted. So generally, when you get one, sit your ass down in the corner of a relative safety and use it. Also, the airspace is limited to 1 plus UAV, which means only one airstrike or one helicopter can be summoned at a time, which tends to make summoning airstrikes and helicopters an issue if more people have one at the ready. UAV, however, you can spam. Each UAV summon simply extends the operational time of it. The UAV radar is the first one of the kill streaks that you get. You only need 3 kills for it, and in more hectic matches there's a good chance there's always going to be one up in the air anyway. Radar will show up the locations of the enemy players on the minimap every few seconds in bursts for the duration of it, which is about a minute. In hardcore modes, where there is no minimap, radar will enable it, and it will also show locations of enemies. Note that players with UAV jammer perk will not be shown in the radar sweeps. It's useful to combine airstrike with the radar whenever possible to maximize effectiveness of the airstrike drop. And airstrike is the second kill streak. You need 5 consecutive kills in order to get it. When called in, 3 aircraft, which are either F-18s or MiGs depending on your team, drop 3 cluster bombs over a period of about 7 seconds. Because of the basic execution of the kill streak, its effectiveness varies wildly even when used in conjunction with the UAV radar. You can't control the direction of the aircraft, and the cluster bombs spread completely randomly, so it is common for a player to survive 2 bombs only to have the third one obliterate him, or the bombs for some reason ignore cover and kill you indoors. Airstrike is the most effective against players in the open, naturally, but in hardcore mode it is advisable to refrain from calling it blindly due to the increased chances of team kills. Kills made by the airstrike count towards the next kill streak. It's entirely possible to get an airstrike, die, respawn and call in an airstrike that immediately kills 5 people, thus giving you another airstrike or 7 kills and giving you a chopper. And the chopper, or the attack helicopter, is the third kill streak. You need 7 consecutive kills in order to get it, and when called in it provides support fire. Depending on what team you're on, you're either getting a Super Cobra or a Hind attack helicopter. It's armed with rockets and a Gatling gun. The attack choppers are actually the most complex part of the COD 4 multiplayer, believe it or not. Once called in, the helicopter will circle the map and fire on every spotted player, starting with the ones closest first, with its Gatling gun. Even firing on players behind cover, which makes it possible sometimes to glitch it by hiding, and the chopper simply keeps firing on you until his time runs out or he gets shot down. However, note that its bullets penetrate most surfaces. They will fire rockets as well sometimes, but these are only decorative and are always shot outside of the map. To my knowledge, these never killed anyone. The choppers have 1100 hit points and can be shot down, either with guns or RPGs and mountain machine guns. And the mountain machine guns are the most effective way of dealing with them, but they are limited in usefulness since the choppers rarely venture in front of one, and when they do it is a limited window of opportunity. RPGs deal 1000 damage and are the best way of taking them down quickly. However, because RPGs are woefully inaccurate, it's advised to wait for the chopper to settle down before firing at it. If a sonic boom perk is equipped, RPG deals 1250 damage and can one-shot a chopper. Small arms fire is the last but most readily available options, but keep in mind choppers only take 30% of bullet damage until their hit points drop to 550. After, they take full damage. If 2 or 3 players combine firepower, the chopper can be brought down quickly, but as we all know, teamwork is a word not commonly known in COD multiplayer. And now let's move on to player customization, which in this game boils down to the create a class section. As you level up, you unlock several sets of pre-made default classes, if you would rather not bother with the customization. And also you get 5 custom slots you can customize to your liking. First thing you can choose here is the primary weapon, which will define your character, as well as attachments for it and camo patterns, both of which you need to unlock first. Then a sidearm or a secondary weapon, which is either a handgun or a second primary if you have the overkill perk equipped. Note that secondary weapons have no camo patterns, and even in case of overkill chosen second primaries, you will not get the chance to equip either attachment or a camo for it. Only the primary weapon gets that. Next you get to choose a special grenade and the 3 perks you will use, which will define your class behavior, and lastly you can rename it for your convenience. The perks come in 3 tiers and are color coded blue, red and green and deal with different sections of combat. Tier 1 or blue perks give you additional equipment, Tier 2 or red perks give you more offensive capabilities, while Tier 3 or green perks give you a variety of support abilities. Here's what they do in more detail, starting with the Tier 1 perks. The C4 ×2. You unlock this at level 4. This gives you 2 packs of Composition 4 explosives with a remote detonator. Packs can be thrown, but they don't fly very far and they adhere to surfaces, so you can trap people with them. They can be detonated either by the detonator or by double tapping the use button, which is the most common way of using them and the most useful way. But keep in mind, the farther you're away from it, the longer it takes for it to detonate. When you die, the packs you set up vanish. Sonic Boom will boost the power and the blast radius of them. Claymore ×2. Unlocked on level 23, they give you 2 Claymore trip mines, which are every camper's best friend. Claymores produce a directional blast, so there's no danger for you if you're sitting behind it, as long as you're sitting behind it. So, enemy players who activate it by crossing the red laser beams emanating from it will activate it. When a claymore is triggered, there is a distinct click sound before detonation. Friendly players cannot trip them unless they are dumb and they stand in front of them and then shoot them, because it is possible to detonate them by firing at them, which is a nice way of removing them when you spot them a distance from your enemy. The friendly placed C4s have a team icon above them. RPG 7 ×2, unlocked from level 1, a rocket launcher, primarily intended for shooting down helicopters, but it can be used against players as well, at the chagrin of many whiners. You get 2 rockets for it when you spawn. They are wildly inaccurate since after a certain distance the rocket swerves and veers off in a random direction. Although this can be lessened by aiming it down the sight, it cannot be completely removed. When used against players, it's only used for clearing out rooms because, as I mentioned, the rockets tend to veer off, and in hardcore mode you're very likely to kill your own guys with it as well. It's boosted with Sonic Boom perk, and then it's powerful enough to one-shot a chopper. Special Grenades times 3. Unlocked from level 1, allows you to carry 3 special grenades instead of 1. Simple and effective, especially useful for shotgun and SMG players who benefit greatly from stun and flash grenades. A huge annoyance on smaller maps where these players pretty much keep you stun or flash locked for a considerable amount of time. Frag times 3. Unlocked at level 41, allows you to carry 3 frag grenades. Combined with Sonic Boom and Martyrdom, it can produce devastating effects, especially on smaller maps like Wetwork and Shipment. Bandolier, unlocked at level 32, gives you more ammunition at spawn. Generally, this means extra 2 full reloads, although this is not the rule, allowing you to fight for longer each life with less worry about the remaining ammunition. This is especially useful with guns that have very limited ammunition, such as sniper rifles, or that use it up quickly, such as some of the SMGs, like the Scorpion for example. Bomb Squad, unlocked at level 14. This perk allows you to see enemy explosives through walls. This perk is not very popular, since it's the least useful of all the tier 1 perks, and there's not many explosives to use in the game to begin with. Even the ones that are, claymores can be spotted easily provided you're aware of players setting them up, and C4 is usually used on the round, so in game modes where explosive can be used tactically, such as search and destroy, this perk has more use, but even then it's rarely used by anyone. Tier 2 perks then give you more offensive capabilities and generally affect your ability to kill. These are the Stopping Power, which is unlocked from level 1. It increases bullet damage by 40%. This is a very useful perk, especially in sniper rifles, and Burst Weapons, since it allows those guns to score one-shot kills. It's also useful for boosting damage of low power guns such as handguns or some SMGs. Juggernaut, also unlocked from level 1, reduces incoming damage by 25%. It also cancels out and is cancelled out by Stopping Power. Like Stopping Power, it's useful in all situations as it can help you keep you alive longer from incoming damage. Sleight of Hand, unlocked at level 20, halves the reload time, especially useful for the light machine guns and shotguns as it considerably decreases reload times. It's also useful in the rusher classes as it minimizes time spent reloading between bursts. Double Tap, unlocked at level 29. It effectively increases rate of fire by 33% by reducing the delay between shots, firing by 1/3. Obviously, slow firing guns like the M60 have the most use after this perk. However, semi-auto weapons also can benefit from it significantly, provided the player has a fast trigger finger. It should be noted that effects from the shot are increased as well, meaning recoils also increases, and guns with already high rates of fire will gobble up ammunition even faster. Overkill, unlocked at level 38. It allows you to carry another primary weapon instead of a sidearm. Very useful for sniper classes since it allows them to have a more useful weapon up close than a handgun. UAV Jammer, unlocked at level 11. Renders players invisible for a UAV radar. It will not hide the player appearing on enemy map when firing, however. But if you combine with a weapon equipped with a suppressor, then player is effectively completely untraceable on the minimap. Sonic Boom, unlocked from level 1. Doubles the blast radius of explosive and increases damage by 25%. Extremely potent for explosives-oriented classes, especially uses of grenade launchers or triple frag grenades. Topped by Martyrdom, it can be absolutely devastating. However, players should prepare for a lot of whining and name-calling from other players that are getting blown up by this in case they decide to use this setup. And lastly, we have the tier 3 perks, which give players certain support abilities. Extreme Conditioning, for example, unlocked from level 1, doubles the player's sprint time, giving the player an edge in mobility. Steady Aim, which is unlocked from level 1, increases hipfire accuracy. This perk only affects the weapon's hip-firing accuracy by roughly 35%. It doesn't do anything for aiming down the sights. It also tightens the spread of shotguns by the same percentage, which makes them less effective in covering an area, but makes them deal more damage. Last Stand, unlocked at level 8. If a player receives damage that would normally kill him, then he remains in a near-dead state on his ass with a pistol in hand, allowing him to score a kill or two before he dies. Player is immortal during the transition into Last Stand, and the pistol he uses in it is the one selected as a sidearm. In case player has an overkill perk equipped, the pistol is defaulted to the M9. Kills scored in the Last Stand still count towards kill streaks and also give 10 bonus points. Last Stand is one of those perks frowned upon by the whining segment of the COD 4 community, not as much as Martyrdom, but close. And speaking of Martyrdom is unlocked at level 17. And this makes you drop a live grenade upon death and is the second most hated part of the game by the whiners, first being the grenade launcher. The fuse on the Martyrdom drop grenades is 2.5 seconds, and since grenades in COD 4 are quite powerful, this makes this perk especially deadly, more so in close quarters combat where it can be difficult to escape in time. That being said, if you pay attention to what's happening around you instead of whining about it, it becomes quite easy to avoid the Martyrdom grenades, except in tight places where you have nowhere to run. Deep Impact, unlocked from level 1. This perk decreases damage loss from surface penetrating shots, which means you deal more damage when firing through walls. All guns benefit equally from it, but it is most useful when used with assault rifles and light machine guns, since you can rip enemies apart through surfaces more efficiently. Iron Lungs, unlocked at level 26. Increases the time you can keep the sniper rifle steady by holding the breath from 4 seconds to 9 seconds. This is the only perk that is exclusively useful to snipers. However, I use the term useful very loosely, because any sniper worth his scope will rarely require more than 4 seconds of steady time to score a kill. Not to mention, more than that is generally enough for a sniper to be spotted and die miserably. Snipers should also keep in mind that if they keep the scope steadied for more than the 4 or with the perk 9 seconds, the rifle will start to sway uncontrollably and will not be able to be steadied again for 10 seconds. Dead Silence, unlocked at level 44. With this perk you make 60% less noise when you move. This is only useful when you're trying to be stealthy, so naturally it's completely pointless in chaotic deathmatch and team deathmatch games where you generally don't sneak, but more run extremely loudly with guns firing in all directions all the smegging time. In tactical modes such as Search and Destroy, this perk becomes a lot more useful, though players should keep in mind that breaking your knees when falling from height and weapon switching still makes noise. Eavesdrop, unlocked at level 35, this perk allows you to listen to the enemy voice chat when in proximity to enemy players. This perk is a brilliant idea, which was completely shot down from the get-go by use of TeamSpeak and similar software. No one uses the voice chat in COD 4. I never heard anyone ever use it. I doubt many people even realize it was available. Like many perks in COD 4, Eavesdrop was conceptualized as a way to deepen the gameplay and allow more complex tactics. Of course, all such notions were abandoned by players from the start, which is a damn shame because eavesdrop, I mean you can eavesdrop on your enemy, that's a really cool concept. And with that we have covered the player customization and progression system of COD 4. As of the next episode, we will finally get down to the guns and equipment. Thanks for watching everyone, until the next video.